Hey guys, it's Lloyd here, back in another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends black and gold suit Spider-Man as he appears in the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. This guy's of course a part of the Armadillo Build-A-Figure wave, and before we get into the meat and taters of this review, he comes with the left leg, so my Armadillo can stand now. I went over the leg articulation in the last review I did for this wave, which was the not PS4, but Gamerverse Miles Morales. But now that our Armadillo can stand, you can see he's a chunky monkey, even though his head's cut off. That said, this Spider-Man is a really small figure. I would say he's probably about the same size as a Motu Origins figure. But with that being said, he does come with a couple of accessories. Some whip hands. Yeah, I don't know how the Gamerverse Miles Morales rates, getting wall crawling hands and, well, fist hands, because this guy has, for whatever reason, grip hands. He doesn't come with anything to hold, he just has grip hands. And was this guy supposed to have some kind of teched out gauntlet, or is that supposed to be with the integrated suit? I don't have that figure yet, so I don't know. But he seems kind of basic compared to the rest of the figures in this wave, because he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of new tooling going on. His legs aren't pinless, and neither are his arms, so he's got some of that Hasbro floppity dop dop syndrome going on, so that's not great. I love the colors, though. I think the colors are what sells this figure, because really, it's kind of the weakest figure I think I've looked at from this entire wave. Shriek came with extra hands, like hands she doesn't even need, and this guy doesn't have hands he needs. So, you know, take that for what you will. But it's a cool looking suit. I love the black and gold. I think that's a cool new look for old Webhead here. But as far as articulation goes, I feel like this is maybe a repaint or slight retool of the Spider-Man from Far From Home, which I don't have. I have the stealth suit, but I don't have the regular suit. Still need to get that figure. I don't know why I didn't. Probably because he didn't come with a bath piece for... Oh, shoot. Is it Molten Man? I don't know. The big gold Clayface looking dude with a skull head and rebarb sticking out of him. But as far as articulation on this guy goes, his head will look up all the way. It'll look down. It's got the hinge in there, which I don't mind the hinge, especially on Spider-Man, because it kind of hides with the web lines, so it's not as noticeable. He does have the rotation there. He doesn't have a whole lot of tilt, but you can pop this head off if you want. Put a Tom Holland head on there, which I don't have still. I do not have a Tom Holland head, which is kind of messed up, because I got more like Chadwick Boseman heads, I think, than I do most of the other Avengers, which is kind of crazy. That wear masks, that is. Even Tony Stark, I think I only have like one Robert Downey Jr. head. But either way, shoulders go out to the side. And okay. He does have the butterfly joint, which actually works on this figure, unlike the Miles Morales. Not sure why they got it to work here, and it's cut almost the same way. His shoulders do rotate all the way. He's got bicep swivel, double joint at the elbow. They are not pinless, so they got the pins in there. I don't mind the look of the pins, but I prefer the quality of the pinless joints. Yeah, you might need to heat them. I don't mind doing that, so long as stuff doesn't break, because that's no fun. But the quality of the pinless joints is so much better than the joints with the pins in them. There's none of the flop that we're used to seeing with a Hasbro joint. It's like the ankles. The ankles are pretty solid on a lot of Marvel Legends figures. Very seldom do I get one that's super duper loose. The knees, I seem to always get like one side that's way looser than the other. Not quite sure why. He does have hinge and swivel wrists, which I've actually never. Oh, and the other thing with the grip hands, he's got the in and out hinge. So, yeah, not only does he have useless grip hands, he's got grip hands with the incorrect hinge in them. So, yeah, this figure needed a little bit of reworking done, I think. Ab crunch works though. Crunch is back. Waist swivel works fine. Hips. And not the best range for a Spider-Man. I think the Miles got better range than that. You just gotta push it a little bit. It's okay. Kicks forward, kicks back a little bit. Thigh cut. This one was a little stuck on mine, but it does work now. Double jointed knee. Hinge in the foot. Which, this is what I mean. He's got a really nice hinge in the foot here. And rocker. With peg holes at the bottom of the feet. And speaking of feet, before we move on here, taking a look at my Armadillo here again. I did have to pop this foot off to get the hinge to work, but it does work pretty good now. I don't think this foot was seated properly on the peg there, so at any rate, no cry, no foul. I was able to fix it for the most part. I might need to go in and tweak it just ever so slightly. But yeah, this is a decent looking figure. I don't care for the grip hands. I would have just preferred some fists, but what are you going to do? It is a cool looking figure though. I really like the aesthetic. I love the black and gold. I think it's very, very striking. It's very different. I'm not used to seeing a lot of Spider-Man with that kind of color scheme. So with that being said, let's take a look at some comparisons. First up, here's old Webhead next to a couple other figures I've already taken a look at from this wave in the past couple of weeks. We got Shriek and Dr. Stephen Strange, as he also appears in this new Spider-Man movie. And as you can see, I think the scaling between those two works really well. Side note, because we got Shriek here, I just watched Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage, probably my favorite movie of the year. That said, I haven't really watched a whole lot of movies that came out this year. Although when the superhero movies are crap like Black Widow and Eternals, not really a whole lot of reason to. I am looking forward to Shang-Chi a little bit, though. Gonna see that very soon. Next up, for your black suit comparison, not naming the symbiote slash black costume, traditional black costume Spider-Man that is, we have the stealth suit from Far From Home, and we have the Gamerverse Miles Morales, who is also from this wave. And if you wanted to swap the hands out between these two figures, you probably could, but I think the Miles Morales fists are a little bit large. And then you can't, of course, do that with the stealth suit because he's got exposed fingers there. So maybe the comic book Miles, you could give this guy some fist hands because he doesn't have a whole lot of extra detail on his hands, which is something this Gamerverse Miles does have. So if you have that older Miles figure from the Space Knight Venom wave and you want to give this guy some fist hands, I would think that'd be your best bet. And last, but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus and the MK11 Spawn, who is back to towering over everyone, unlike yesterday during the Swamp Thing review where he was absolutely dwarfed. Check that out if you haven't already. But with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and while I do really like the aesthetic of this figure, I think black and gold is a really nice look for all Webhead, and I have to say the proportions, I didn't mention this earlier, are really solid. I like where the shoulders are placed. I like the overall length of each of the limbs and the torso. Now the head sits on the neck. Everything, as far as that goes, is really good. Other than that, though, he does have the pins, so he's a little bit gummy in the knees and the elbows, more so than, say, Shriek, who's not too much bigger, I don't believe, as far as those regions of the body go. And he is very lacking on hands. He does not have wall-crawling hands. He does not even have fist hands, for crying out loud, which is something I just can't... I can't bypass that, unfortunately, because why the heck he's got grip hands is beyond me. I double, triple, dipple, dog checked the box. That's a Christmas Story joke for those of you who are fans of this time of year, or that movie. Either way, I checked the box, and there is nothing for the grip hands. There's nothing that justifies the grip hands. Why the heck does he have grip hands? I don't know. The friggin' Spider-Man in the stealth suit from the last movie doesn't have grip hands. He's got fist hands. They could have reused those and just painted the fingers red instead of skin tone. But for whatever reason, this guy has grip hands. I'm pretty sure he doesn't need them. So, unless I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below if I am or not. If he's meant to hold something specific. Maybe the Eye of Agamotto. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen the movie yet. Don't spoil it. No, don't spoil it too bad. I'm actually not really opposed to spoilers because I see these things so freaking late. It doesn't really matter, does it? But at the end of the day, I don't know why he's got grip hands. He's very lacking on accessories, and the fact he's got pins instead of the pinless tech kind of sucks. So, with that being said, this is by far the weakest figure I've taken a look at from this wave. It's not a bad figure. Don't get it twisted. This is actually still a relatively strong release for an MCU figure. It's just my least favorite of this wave thus far, because he just seems a bit lacking as far as extra hands and the fact that he doesn't have the pinless tech, even though he probably could have had it. So with that being said, I would recommend this guy if you are building the Armadillo Build-A-Figure, or if you really like this movie, or if you're like me, like the aesthetic of this figure. I think that sells it enough to warrant a purchase. But other than that, it is just another movie Spider-Man. There is a lot of Spider-Man in this wave. There's a total of 3, and then there's a exclusive version as well. I think it's a Walmart exclusive if I'm not mistaken. That's very similar to the figure in this wave that doesn't have a bath piece. So a bit of an overload as far as MCU Spider-Man goes, for this being the last kind of hurrah for Marvel Legends, at least until next year. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you are so inclined, please hit that notification bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one, because we got to show that algorithm who's boss, right? And if you haven't already, hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.